Hello, everyone, and welcome to another version of an interview with Neville Gaunt. And today we're going to be talking about this wonderful book, Everything You Should Have Learned at School But Didn't. And I'm delighted to say I've got one of the chapter authors with me. He's already smiling. His name's Rashid Khan. Rashid, very warm welcome to this little discussion.
Thank you so much, Neville, for having me on this discussion today.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to get straight into it because time is money, as they say, and time is limited. So I just want to ask you the very simple question. What was it that when we contacted you, or in fact, Arouge contacted you and said, Rashid, I'd like you to be in this book. What was it that went straight to your heart and said, yes?
There's one word, and that is which I shared with Arouge at the same time, is creating the right legacy. And that's what it was all about. I have gone through a journey of, becoming an entrepreneur from the corporate roles, and I've gone through all that journey. I want people to understand that journey, and especially the youngsters, the people who are coming into the entrepreneurship. They are starting their journey in that particular pathway. I want them to understand that how this journey is being run, and how is journey being taken. These ups and downs, and sharing all of my views around ups and downs. And that was the number one thing for me to share, for all these youngsters, that never give up on your dreams. Keep following your dreams. Be consistent on your journey. And my journey can help someone understand that process. I think that's the legacy I wanted to see.
That's absolutely fantastic, and we can hear a little few notes in the background because I'm going to let everyone into a secret here. It's early in the morning in the UK, and it's very late in the evening in Australia, which is where Rashid is coming from. And those little wonderful noises in the background are young kids having fun, and we're not going to stop that. So we're going to keep that. We're going to keep that there because that's all part of being who we are. So you know that this is live, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't orchestrated. This is real time. So your journey, I was fascinated by your chapter, mainly because you've done something quite, I would say, astronomical in many respects. I mean, a lot of people might move 20 miles down the road. So I went to university in Nottingham, which is 150 miles north of London, which many years ago, over 40 years ago, was a very long way. You've come several thousand miles. So I just want to, and I don't want to spoil your chapter because we want people to read it. But your chapter says a journey of exploration. Why don't you just share with us a few high notes about that exploration, and perhaps some of the bits you don't mention in the book about, family influences, the ties, that breakaway that you had to do. Just tell people a little bit about your chapter without giving away too many secrets, because we want them to read it.
Yeah. Uh, Coming to a new country when you are coming to a new country, you are taking a new birth. So it's like you're coming to a new country, you're learning the new challenges, how to overcome those challenges. You are learning the new things the culture has been, there's a different culture which you need to learn. You need to get around things very different way, especially from a developing country to a developed country. There's a not just a journey you have to take. It's you have to take kind of that same 150 miles worth of walking to get to that point A to point B, to understand how their system works. For me, that was the number one challenge. But me being in technology actually quite helped me understanding those specifically technology challenges, taking over the technology challenge pretty quickly. And then understanding the emergency management, which is my domain. And I have written things about emergency management. All of that, understanding the process and making sure that when you leave this world, it's exactly the same as this book. We wanted to leave this world in a better place than when we joined this world. And that is what this book is all about. This book is all about everyone's experience and making sure that people learn from them, and they learn how the education system can be enhanced in a way that it shows them the path, and path from the people who have actually taken the path. They have gone through a journey. And so in my chapter, I actually mentioned my journey as of learning those new systems, learning those new processes. And sometimes it's good that you come from a different side or from a different origin, because you understand the process from a very different way. So if Noel comes to Australia, you will see Australia as a very different, because of its geographical location, and thus you will learn your paths from a very different perspective. And that's what I did. I become that new lens to see through some of the things in emergency management processes, and then I started enhancing them, and that's what led me to, one of the top Australians in Australia. So you could see my kid running in the background. Yeah, and that's the reason I wrote the book.
There's always a secondary reason, and legacy. You mentioned legacy right at the very beginning. That was the reason you did it. Well, you're leaving a legacy for your children, so that you're now an international author. Just because you're in this book, you're an international author, which makes you very special in some respects, because number one, you're our only international author in Australia, so that's important. And a lot of people don't realize, but Australia is a massive country, but it doesn't have that many people in comparison. I mean, for instance, if you put the UK into Australia, you can put it several times. There are 65 million people here,
Yeah.
and a lot less than half in Australia. So we're all going to be putting our legacy wherever that goes. The nice thing about being a digital book, of course, is it's international. And because we made it a free download, we're trying to make it relevant to everybody.
Yeah.
So Rashid, thanks very much for being on the show today. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our listening audience?
Especially the message for the youngster is I wanted to be really precise with that message, and that is, if you're onto a journey, be consistent on the journey, learn from the others, learn from others' mistakes. Don't burn your hand while learning how hot the stove is. Learn from others' mistakes as well. Learn from others' pathway to successes. And that learning, if it's coming in a book like the book we have, I think that is a great platform for people to learn and understand how the things can move for their success. And I hope and wish all of them very best to whatever they are trying to achieve, from my own experiences as well. So if you aim something and you are consistent on your journey, you will get there.
That's a fantastic message to leave someone with, because we know that great leadership is about applying consistency. That doesn't mean to say you'll change what you do, because you probably will change what you do, but it's that consistent approach, the listening, the learning, evaluating, experiencing. And your chapter is the epitome of it, because you didn't just do it in your downtown local. You decided to get on a plane or a boat maybe and travel several thousand miles. That's a journey of exploration, which is the name of your chapter. And I encourage everyone not just to download the book and read it, but that specific chapter. Rashid, thank you so much for being on the show today. And don't forget, folks, the book's free, so just download it.
See you, man.